Film shoots, photography. The island's very popular. It has certain seasons in the year where things are locally being filmed, so we have a lot more action. We can have a couple shoots a day on certain days. And any filming or photography that affects island operations, it's blocking a sidewalk, it's causing a scene, whatever the case may be, requires a permit from REOC. And even more than usual, with filming and photography, a lot of the turnaround time has to be very quick. It's often a last minute request, and we do the best that we can. If we can accommodate, we certainly try to. And they have a habit of changing because they're artistic in nature, and it may depend on the lighting one day, or whether the director, had too much coffee in the morning, or whatever the case may be, but we try to work with people. We typically have 4 types of filming photography permits: student projects, independent projects, major motion picture, and something as simple as B-roll, where it's just shots usually of Manhattan or the tram or the bridge.
One quick note on that.
Yeah.
Another person stopped me. I can get off like I said. I know it's fairly common when it's a major motion picture that various groups get funding for their inconvenience from the production companies. When it's private, one person who's in that industry has told me that they've been approaching people to get community funds, and they have no way of knowing who is officially can represent various community people on the island who can't. So we're trying to figure out how we let them know who actually does represent people on the island and who doesn't. And
no problem, they can make out a donation and give the check to Donna or to REOC and just say, make sure this goes to the youth center or to RERA or to whatever group they.
Is this somebody I know in the industry has had that problem? You had your hand a couple times, so
yeah.
What's...
Well, I can tell you right now that when there have been film shoots, I go directly to them and ask for their locations manager for RERA. And they will get a letter from RERA, on official letterhead from whoever is the president at the time. It was Matthew for a long time, and now it's Jeff. And we have gotten funding, so they know who we are. And I always tell them how to get to our website so they can see our names, so they can see a photograph, so they know that we are legitimate and that we do good work for the community.
Yeah, this person was telling me they're in the industry and they said that they try to work with community groups. They have a hard time here knowing
I've had
who is
pretty
and
good
who
luck
isn't,
with most everything.
Official. So.
And it's not always RERA. I think if you're using a field, you may want to give money to the youth center or to the day nursery or some other
this is
group
something
like
to
that.
figure out. I don't know if it's even a way we're allowed
to
point them in the right direction or not. But
I mean, someone, and I don't think us, should put together a list with the names and numbers of all the programs, and obviously.
Should you want to?
Yes, yeah, and that would be, but it can't be. We can't sort of solicit. We just can't, and we can't
The only
even.
reason I do it is because REOC does get paid and we are not.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not going to stop.
No, I'm not saying that you stop. I said someone asked me, said, how do they know who
Yeah,
does
they
represent,
need
who
to know
doesn't?
legitimacy.
Yeah.
It can't be
Request.
us.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why I tell them to go to our
Just
website.
relaying another message.
Yep.
I mean,
Okay.
I would do
Continue.
what I would do.
What?
And ask you. I would probably ask. I know you may not want it, but that's.
No, it's
not saying,
But that's the
Yes,
way,
like
but
this-
it's the
yeah.
way for the person to know that they have a
But
legitimate group.
there should be, I think there has to be a procedure for it, because, legitimacy, what's legitimacy?
Whatever they ask you for, they may ask you, do you have a children's program, or do you have, they will ask you.
There's certain programs that we vet because we've given public purpose funds and we've vetted them in the past. I'm not sure how we have to, when we get a GC, we have to talk to our.
Yeah, because, it's sort of, what is legitimacy? I mean, that's my question.
So when we get a general counsel, maybe there's something the general counsel can review, that's how if there's something we can or can't do about that, just to.
Why don't you just include it with the permit? Here are a list of organizations.
I do not think that is,
I think that's a
because
good idea.
the question is legitimacy. How do you prove, what is legitimacy?
Who gets on the list and who doesn't get on the list?
Right.
Why can't REAC just provide a list along with the permitting and say, here are other organizations?
Well, no,
After
no,
they
no,
decide-
the
after
question
they
is how do
decide.
people, how do people get on the list and not get on the list? But we have to, so it's something we have to review, it's an issue that was brought to me on the
No,
street,
Well, REAC
and
gave
so I
public
don't know what the
purpose
answer
funds.
is right now.
REAC gave public purpose funds to
Right,
all of
that's
these
why I think we do have
organizations, so
some-
you have that list.
Yeah, that's possibly a way, it's something council will have to review and see if there's something we can do or something we can't do, just so we can provide some guidance to the permitters who wanna do something. I don't know what we can do.
Again, the guys in the industry, what do other neighborhoods do?
I don't know.
That's-
I didn't ask that,
that's a good question.
so.
I can sort of respond to that. A lot of people do what Sherry does.
I actually think that putting together a list would not be REAC's position because, you know, the legitimacy of a group is for public purpose funds may be a lot different than a legitimate group.
Yeah.
You can have a legitimate group that's not a not-for-profit, right? And totally legitimate group. For us to put some people on the list and not others would, looking at it as a lawyer,
Yeah.
would put us in a jeopardy.
Again, I wasn't saying it's something we should do, I was saying this is a question that was brought to me, and I wanted to see if we can investigate, saying if it's something we should do or something we shouldn't do.
It's something that is, you know, I can understand it, that there's a list somewhere, you know, that it's put together by somebody. RERA is like the catch-all. So RERA could put together a list of, and their decision, or somebody else's decision, or a group of decisions, but that's not something that we can put together and feel comfortable about it, because then anybody who wants to get on the list is on the list. We can't start making,
Okay.
you know, determinations on that.
So then a suggestion to RERA, if they wanna do something, as far as what groups they wanna do something with, if somebody asks.
If they wanna be on the
But
list,
RERA wants the money for themselves, I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to,
Well,
I
when we point to RERA, the Residents Association is
As a
RERA,
state agency.
here's
Can
your
we say
contact.
RERA,
You
or-
give money to
Yeah,
these
I
guys.
understand. No, I'm not saying that.
well, I just think
Okay,
people have to
I
take care of
understand.
themselves.
Okay, again, this is the question that was brought up on
no, and
and relaying, trying to figure what, I said, I don't even know what the answer to that is, so I'll have to ask, I'll bring it up. Okay, continue.
maybe, well, you know when the film shoots are gonna be. Do you have it on the web or whatever?
It depends on the scale of the film shoot.
Yeah.
How
Put it on the web
impactful
and
it is.
whatever group wants to go, goes.
Put themselves up.
Well, that's
So
how
it's
I,
up to the individual group to show
that's
their
how I find out.
legitimacy.
I see there's a film shoot.
Right.
I don't know,
People have to,
I don't know if film shoots necessarily want to advertise
I
their
was just
shooting,
saying,
but.
yeah, they don't usually, I mean, even the signs that are on the streets are like coded, so
Yeah.
you don't know what show is being filmed where.
I
Because they
find
don't-
out,
They
I
don't
have
want the
no
general
problem.
public to know.
I go right down there and ask them what they're shooting.
That's you, Sherry, you.
Yeah, I ask them what they're shooting, what's it for, and I find the locations manager, and I exchange contact information, and then I leave.
Right on doing it.
And I tell them about RERA, and then I walk away.
Okay,
And I call them or
Dick.
and email.
Dick,
Dick,
Vicky's calling.
Can we scrap that
Oh.
over?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, so the first process with filming and photography is I'm usually approached by a location coordinator to discuss potential filming locations. If it's something that is it's a reasonable request, I will schedule a meeting with the necessary parties that would be appropriate, usually including public safety or engineering. Pretty standard as far as our other permits. From here on out, they fill out a permit application. We determine appropriate fees for what is being asked. Invoice, payment, insurance, permit signed. While this is all being processed, we will have scouts along the way with different levels of the production team to determine what exactly they will need from us and what we can do and what we can't do. this usually goes up to the shoot, and on shoot day, if everything goes according to plan, wonderful. If changes are made, we assess them for fees if necessary. Thank you. If depending on, as we touched on briefly, depending on the scope of the shoot, we determine if an advisory is appropriate. Sometimes advisories tend to sound an alarm when there really is no need for one. So we determine that on a case-by-case basis. And then hopefully all goes well.